Hey, my name is Anas, but you can call me Wolf. After watching the Broken Portal video, I was inspired to make a mini simulation out of it, just so I can explore this game mechanic and see for myself what else could be there, which I may not have considered. You can go to the description right now to download the simulation and try it out for yourself. Personally, time travel is my top favorite genre, so I wanted to seize this opportunity, and I hope I did. Though, while working on this, I have faced several challenges, and some of them are impossible to deal with, or at least that's how I see it right now. And now, I'll walk you through some of these challenges and my thoughts toward them. But wait, just one tiny detail. Let's just assume that the portal delay is 2 seconds instead of 5. In this simulation you can put it as whatever you want, but let's keep it simple for now. Let's start with the first and most obvious challenge. In this simulation, as the player, you can't time travel. However, I have replaced this by allowing something else to time travel, which are the projectiles. They are also specifically made so that they can be easily predictable, to test things out in a more controlled manner. Right now, you are more of an observer instead of the person that's traveling in time. You could say that this simulation is sort of your own testing lab. So, you can try several things to try to break the simulation if you really want to, or casually use it. Oh, but you can still teleport through portals for easy access. As for the next challenge, objects that are exiting from the purple portal are from the future. But of course, I can't know the future. But there are some things I can surely try to predict. Like for example, the projectile's trajectory. This is also one of the main reasons that, when looking through the purple portal, you don't actually see the future, but you merely see what the green portal sees. Because this is the kind of thing that I think can only be done via movie magic, or in a predetermined world, which this simulation isn't. Okay, so what about seeing the past? This is certainly possible, but from what I can imagine, it might require heavy processing. The immediate idea that I thought about is that there would be an identical area or map that is hidden from the player, where all of the actions that he has done in the past 2 seconds have been recorded, and are being played out in real time. This makes sense because if you were to shoot your purple portal anywhere in the map, you would see from that angle 2 seconds into the past. However, to actually create this, I don't know if this is the best way to actually do this. Because of course, it would double the processing required, since now there are 2 versions of you and everything else that is dynamic that is being processed. But the closest thing I was able to make is, when you set your purple portal somewhere else, you can still see through where it was at. And if you were to shoot or go through it, it would take you there. But after some time it would disappear and we'd see through the other purple portal now. Basically, we are always seeing through the oldest purple portal. Now, one interesting thing that Corridor has avoided in making their video is putting the camera directly in front of the portal, where we see the infinite pasts and futures. That is simply just too much. Well, I think so anyway. Maybe they do have a magic trick to do this. But even if they do, that might just be a little too much for the viewer. Now, showing this in an actual game where the world is not predetermined is simply not feasible. This may work if some part of your game is predetermined, but given these game mechanics that you always have, that would still happen even outside of those parts. So they still must be somehow dealt with. While testing, I've realized that there are several paradoxes that can happen. Unless we are in a predetermined world, either all or some of these paradoxes can't even happen. So far, I was able to detect 3 types of paradoxes, which are the grandfather, the bootstrap, and the clone paradox. But this actually isn't a bad thing at all. By finding out about them, we can see what are the weak points in this game mechanic, and try to figure out some ways to either avoid or resolve them. For example, perhaps when one of these paradoxes happen, time is rewound for some amount of seconds, and maybe also lose a heart or a life. Well, we could also destroy the fabric of space-time, but anyways, I think what's also very fascinating about this is understanding why the paradox even happens, with what values and conditions and so on, which can bring a new insight which we could have never imagined. And this is why, for the paradoxes I mentioned, I added a little debug message that would tell you if you created a paradox. So keep an eye out. While working on this, I realized that there's a few things a player might need to make testing easier, or to try different interactions while testing. And that's why I added several tools, which are Projectile Destroyer, Projectile Accelerator, Mesh Spawner, Grabbing Physics Mesh, and a ruler. I also added a quick tutorial on how you could use them. So now that the menu simulation is out, what now? Will I make a game out of this? Will I make more updated versions of this simulation? Could it maybe turn out to be like one of the simulation games? Well, I already do in fact have two projects about time travel, which I'm cooking. One is a video series, and the other is a game. So adding this would already be too much for now, especially because I would still have to imagine how I would even design a game with these game mechanics, which I currently have no clue. However, as for the simulation versions, I believe it highly depends on how much attention or support this video gets. I can definitely see that there can be a few things added, like for example, let's say that you just started the simulation, so you didn't fire any portal yet. And now you fired both portals in half a second. For the green portal, since it's supposed to be looking into the past, the purple portal wasn't there 1.5 seconds ago, so how come you can see through the green portal? I'm thinking I could add this feature so you don't actually see through it into the appropriate time, which can make the simulations feel much more closer to the video. Actually, if you're paying attention, this could be one of the clever ways they decided to use to instantly swap the portals, because they have already been placed there for a long time. And this is why at the end, we also don't see the green portal that was shot at the ceiling. We can only see its glow, because then we would have to see through it what's happening in the past on the wall, which I think is a very sweet attention to detail, because they just avoided the problem altogether. Okay, finally, would this turn into a simulation game? Or rather,
I'm hoping to see something that could maybe inspire a real video game.
Personally speaking, at least for now, I don't think so. Because again, the main goal of the simulation is to see what is possible with this game mechanic. So instead of directly creating a game, I wanted to explore this world even more outside of the video constraints. And with that, I hope I've made it easier for anyone to be inspired to find an idea out of this to create a game. I tried to stay true to the game mechanics of the broken portal, but you may still find some bugs or not so accurate interactions. If that happens, I haven't thought that far actually. Would YouTube comments suffice? Well, I'll make sure to tell you in a pinned comment once I figure this out. I also must at least mention the game Portal Reloaded, which lets you travel a few years, I think, back and from the past. It's free as long as you have Portal 2. But anyhow, I was very excited to get this finally out, even though some things may not be too perfect. I started this small project on the 17th of August and finished on the 25th. As for the script and video editing, that took a few days. I don't think I have anything else to say. Well, I guess that's all for now, and I have seen you later.